was funny. See, I came over the kids.
It was funny with the magnifying glass. It's hilarious.
I thought he was asking for the castle. When he said the big one, I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
The Goodwill. We're going to pick on Felipe. So, when you were talking about the nasal septum, I don't care who you are, I look at the skull position very carefully. Now, an adult male, I might have to take into consideration the size of the chest, because if the chest is higher or makes the spine higher, then I would have to bring his head into a position. But right now he's even that way. But you can tell, or at least he has been hit by a baseball, so his nasal configuration is off, right? So if I took a straight line down his face, you would see, and then it's just minor. I'm not saying it would affect his movement. However, I'm going to send you a video of a kiddo where this came from, who has a facial paralysis, Bell's palsy, plus the way the nose is quite overgrown and the way it's going into the Bell's palsy, there's no way this baby's going to get it. So what I believe is that's the only straight line in the human body. But as way as the movement goes, when you're going to tummy time, so you have the straight line, the nasal septum, the maxillaries, or the way the cheekbones come across, and then you've got your 45-degree angle, so when a baby rolls. Now, that being said, this is where I really look at the mucus. Now, I'm not going to give him a lesson in a sense of getting him ready for my hands. I'm just going to go for pickup. So, now, right off the bat, though, of just saying that, he's right now got a very heavy head. Even though he works with me, I haven't worked with him a bit. So now, just this pickup, I'm already in the motion of where my spinal fluid is. So I should be able to, and sorry, my hands just go lightly, very lightly, enough of a differentiation. But again, I'm looking to see and feel all these fluids within my hands and how they're going to manipulate. Sorry, my hands are a little on the cold side. So when I feel a heavy head, right, immediately I know I'm not going to have a counter sway. But he's already starting to work with me. So when I find a spot in the head that I'm comfortable with, now I can start working with the nose, nasal septum area. So what I start looking for to begin with is just this tilt to the left, but I go all the way over, see my head, on the right. I like to throw a very wide counter now all the way to the left as he goes to the right, versus sitting here just doing a left and right. I like to counter my body. I know you can't probably see this much on the film, which is fine. And so I'm looking for, see right here, no matter what I'm doing with my right hand going down, do you see how his nasal septum does not want to cross midline? But yet if I do the same movement, push down on the table a little bit, see how he will present to the left, but not to the right. See, even though he's moving, the nose stops. So there's that qualities. But the one quality that I was really looking into, especially when you have a high tone, low tone, because I can tell you right out the bat, if I find a baby where this mechanism is off, the muscle tonus is off. Now, which comes before, the cart before the eggs? I'm going after that whatever happened. So now, is it the, excuse my French, because I don't know anatomy well as far as pronounce it, the canochia? I look at that as like dikes on a beach. You know how they don't want beach erosion? So if the water's coming in this way, they throw a dike out like a rock wall or something like that, so that the sand doesn't just get washed away and it builds out. So when a baby or infant starts to roll over, right, they're getting these dikes in a sense, so their mucus is learning how to coat. Now right here, I'm having a hard time again crossing midline, and I'm trying to convince him to go. He doesn't want to go with him. He's going to the right, but this movement's a little bit different. Before I was going down, down, now I'm kind of sweeping, and he doesn't want to sweep on both sides. So there's definitely, quote, little glitches in midline. Now, obviously, he walks, talks, and drives a car. I'm not worried about that, but there he goes. Now, it's still catching, though, under the occipital lobe. So what I'm doing right now, just like doing wine and coating the sugar on the side of the glass, I'm just looking to see where he's going to give me feedback. But as I tilt his head to the side, this is where I look to the perpendicular of the movement. Now, if you look at Lassia, with her head shape being differently, this is where you get, bring your head up so it's just off the edge a little bit. Right? So I'm just pretending like he has microcephaly. So the way he's tilted here, do you see now where the eyes are? So now eye fluid, so he's going to get a maxillary rush with the mucus going up, building up through here. We've all felt it. If we hang our head off a couch or something like this too long, we start getting a rush here. So now he has to push his vision to go against the nasal cavities, where he does not have this relationship here. Also here too, especially uvula coming back way too much. The soft palate from his mouth starting to come back too much. So these kiddos, especially as you've seen, when they're not propped properly, this is where the head flatness starts coming into play and the misshape within the jawline. So you throw off all the proportions, because again, we go from proportions. Look at, now he would be better for his hand length. The proportion of a face is, sorry that I'm touching you so much here, is heel to back of the ear. So I should be able to, so if he put his hand, so put your hand from just the heel there. See how he's proportioned. So he goes back to ear, back to ear. So those are his facial proportions, right? Also, if he put his hand right here, from chin, it should be going up to the top of the brow. That's also his proportions. Now, these proportions are different in an infant, hence we have a big head, small hands, but it will grow or should grow into those proportions. So what I'm looking at when I'm going around, if I see anything too, like enlarged adenoids, all of that, same thing. If I had enlarged adenoids, what it would take, especially in this position where the head's back, to suddenly come around and find his feet. That is a lot of movement, what he has to do just to get into position. So again, too, when he's learning this, his, quote, plumb line, his first plumb line is off. Now go back down. I'm just going to watch the camera. So now if his mouth is closed and he takes any kind of a breath, so take a deep breath. So what we discussed, the first line of defense or the first mechanism as to that inhale comes the soft tissue from in the mouth matches the soft tissue within the nose. It kind of meets and goes up to each other, right? So that gives a large feedback as to the strength of the system and what it has to do to pull air all the way down, right? So if I go like this to Felipe, and now he does that same breath, right? So now that is off. So he already knows he needs to counter around that because his soft tissue response is off. But again, a child like Graham didn't have that constant feedback. So because it was off, what does he go to? So now open your mouth and breathe. So the total mechanics of breathing is different because he never got that soft tissue response. So now he's a mouth breather because of he had the infection, the enlarged adenoids, all of those kind of things. Now come back with your head again. So now again, we're going to close the mouth and try and breathe. Now he's going to have a harder time doing that because he's going to feel like his head's underwater. So you can almost guarantee on top of that, so he's going to, so just close your mouth and breathe in. So he has to go up over the esophagus. He's going to have to go up into, so now open your mouth and breathe in. Right? And look at how your chest feels differently than when your head is in a different position. So he can't get a strong breath no matter what in this kind of position. Yeah, so now he's starting to say, I'm comfortable. So go back down. See? No, but Right, but look at, again, this is what I constantly say when I see like that little girl that came in today. If her eyes are working that well with that head, like, and what's going on with her, sorry, did I just spit on you?
No, it's me.
Okay.
I'm like,
Oh, sorry, I got paranoid that I try not to spit on my clients, but you never know. But from doing all of this, now, if I pick him up, now look at how much more supple his head is. Because his body is, said, I can't do this, I can do that, or he's comparing. So he's now decided this is a much better way to breathe and be, so he's there. So again now, if I took a Sharpie and drew down his face so you can see those kind of things. So I'm not looking to peck, right? I don't use these kind of techniques. I'm always after that water bowl and see if I can get that whole soft tissue response, even if I'm doing a circle. Right? My thumbs are here. See how he's just floating in my hands versus me doing this. See the sloshing that I see? This is the stuff that I don't understand, that people just can't get. That a child when they look, it should be here and then a slide glide to here kind of thing. Versus a child does not or should not do left and right. Now, we can do those things because we're an adult, but a child should choose just normally this, because look at the ears now. Every movement, it should be like he's lightly pouring water, like if this was a vessel. So if I just had a vessel, I'm not going to just go oomph. You know what I mean? Like I'm just going to and pour, if I'm pouring wine from a bottle glass kind of thing. And this is where I think the ears get that also, that kind of like a nozzle. But if I was doing this windshield wiper moves, look at what those ears are doing alone. But also too, when I'm doing this, to me, see how nothing in a sense crosses midline in that way. I get it that it's going back and forth versus this way and this way. To me, it's completely different quality of movement. Now, an adult should be able to manipulate everything that I'm saying. See, now he's really getting into this. I have to do this about like every couple of weeks with him, otherwise he wants to quit. So even here, so let's say if I'm working with a child here and I'm behind, I go for that counter. I'm looking for just that little bit of where that nasal septum can cross midline. And I might have to go, there we go, that's soft. But for him, now I'm just feeling just in this position a little bit of staccato, which to your eye, no big deal. But again, if I want to keep him at high athlete status, and if you want to see really something really funny, so open your eyes. But this is what's neat about Felipe. So I can show the soft tissue response. See, he can't not look at my eyes. There he goes. So I'm using my hand underneath. Now just to show you what you were working with today when I said you were going too high. So this is, see how the vertebrae want to tilt? So I'm just, again, because so this is the way I touch if it was elongated. See, he can't not look at my fingers. I can slow it down this much. And see how I'm using the eyes as a lesson. Now this is going to be really fatiguing for him, and he's really going to feel really weird getting up because it's going to be very unbalancing. But see now how nice that flows? Now, watch when I go to the other side. See the difference? So see how the head doesn't want to come back. So it does not know how to move the soft tissues. When you're going this small, it's a soft tissue response. When you start getting larger, ooh, that's good. So when you're going this small, it's a soft tissue response. When you start going larger, then it, yes, would have to be a muscle response, because what's going to happen, he's got to prevent the fall. Do you see that? So if I go here, see the difference? See how he's not falling? But here, see that? See how he, boomf? And this is where I have to use my mat when I get it. See the difference? See how he's still fast, but see how there's no fall? Fall. Because he bounced even. But again, I won't leave you unbalanced. No. Now see two, see there's a weakness there. See how much more muscle he wants to use. So now I'm going to come in. I tried a couple of times. He was going too fast over to the side. But in general, he's going to have a relationship to home and first base way more than third. So there's going to be a weakness. There we go. It's weird. I could almost feel my hand from the other thing, even though it's like my whole hand is pulsing, but I'm not touching anything. That's it. And see how long now I can take that vision and the smoothness. See the difference now, and he's not falling anymore. See, now he can, now I can literally like brush the table with his hair, which he's going to get mad at me. See now too, look at the quickness in his head. But that being said now, so now take a deep breath with your mouth closed.
Mouth closed.
Now, first of all, his breath is way more efficient. So now mouth open, take a deep breath. Well, now come with your head off the table. So, yeah, mouth closed. That's still a better breath. And then mouth open. That's a way better breath. So just from doing all of that to a child, let's say microcephaly, deviations, deviated septum, whatever is your, he's already at least got a better breath response with soft tissues. Go back, but he definitely has a better movement and so forth. So that's another way of looking. And he's just floating in my hands. Does that answer some of your questions, or do you have more? Thanks.
That's interesting.